What's going on, guys? It's Elias. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. First, I'd like to apologize if you hear a lot of whirring sounds. My wheel bearing's gone bad. I'm on my way to get it fixed, so that's why we're doing these videos, and that's why you kind of hear that wheel bearing. So again, apologize if you do hear that. I'm not sure you do. I'm using a directional mic, so hopefully you don't hear it. So today we're going to be talking about how BMW E90s, I'm in my BMW E90, my 335D, kind of have some things that unexpectedly break. But pretty much every E90 has these issues. So there are 5 things that I've seen that on these E90s will probably break unexpectedly, and these are the things that some people don't think about. So I wanted to make a video on that. So 4 of these things have happened to me. The 5th one has really not yet happened to me, but I am keeping an eye on it for it. So let me know in the comments if you think this is useful for you. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy these type of videos. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that has gone bad on this car, the first thing I'm going to talk about at least is the wheel bearing. So on these cars, they are very, performance-oriented cars. They're kind of lowered, especially if you get the Sport package, the M Sport package. This is the Sport package. So it's a lowered car. It's got the lowering springs from the Sport package. It drives really, really nice because of that. Unfortunately, because it has lowering springs from the factory, it's got less ground clearance and it's got a little bit of less suspension travel. So whenever you hit a pothole, that pothole is going to hurt. And unfortunately, the pothole has hurt a lot of different things, and one of them has been that wheel bearing. So we're going to go ahead and change that right rear wheel bearing. And if it was the front wheel bearing, it's actually a bit of an easier job. It's just a module you buy. It's a little bit expensive. It's like $300. It's not that big a deal. But you're able to unbolt it and bolt it on, no problems at all. Unfortunately, the rear wheel bearing is a lot more involved. You got to take out you got to basically take off the entire thing, the whole hub, take out all the brakes, all of that stuff, unfortunately, like I said. And the wheel bearing itself, you have to get a very simple wheel bearing. Now, the part itself is going to be inexpensive because it's just a very simple wheel bearing. It's a bearing. But the labor is going to be super intensive, super high. So it's going to be about $450, something to keep in mind. The next thing I'm going to talk about is, of course, the wheels. So normally on cars that I own, I don't really go over the cost of wheels and tires because to me, those are kind of wear items and I usually buy wheels for looks. This car, however, I love the way the stock E90 wheels look. Those things look amazing. Unfortunately, they were bent very, very quickly. So about 3 years into ownership, after hitting some potholes, those wheels were bent. And not just one of them, 3 out of the 4 wheels were actually bent. You can get them repaired, but I'm like, you know what? Let's get them replaced. So I got these Rials that very, very much look like other BMW wheels. I like the way they look, and I got a set of 4. Now, unfortunately, the wife hit a really nasty pothole, and with that pothole, she bent 2 wheels. So I went ahead and replaced those 2 wheels. I bought 3 wheels used, same exact wheels that I had before. I bought 3 of them used. Unfortunately, she actually bent another one. So I used up 2, I used up the 3rd. I don't have any other wheels left. I did save the one that's only slightly bent. So if I really have to, she cracks one when she's driving around, then I'll go ahead and replace it. But it's something to keep in mind again if you own an E90, especially a Sport package. Be very careful with those potholes. And honestly, I would just set aside some money to replace your wheel whenever that time comes. Something to keep in mind, like I said. The next thing, and again, completely unexpected, I never even thought about this, is if you have the adaptive lights. They're xenon lights that move around, they go up and down, they move left and right as you turn. Super cool. I thought that was a really cool technology that they had. Unfortunately, if you would hit one too many potholes, they will go bad as well. So currently my right side headlights is pointing kind of like a cockeyed down direction. Now I've seen people say that you could take it apart and you can fix it. I went onto eBay to try to find a used one. They're super expensive, like $500. At the moment, it's kind of doing its job. It's kind of pointing to the wrong direction a little bit to the right. I may or may not change them up for something simpler. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. It's happened relatively recently. So I'm going to go ahead and change that at some point. Don't know what I'm going to do. But again, it was unexpected, but it's going to happen to you if you own an E90 and you have those adaptive headlights. They will break, especially if you hit some potholes. So keep that in mind. So the next one, and this one again, if you've owned BMWs for a long time, you may expect this, but if you're not a long time BMW owner, you're gonna be surprised, and that's the cup holders. The cup holders on this thing are pretty terrible to begin with. They come out, they're a little bit, a little bit weird, and we took special care of ours. I mean, we made sure that we were very careful with them. We closed them gently, we opened them gently. We did everything in our power to try to make sure that they did okay. Unfortunately, even with us being very, very careful, the cup holder itself kind of broke. And it broke in a weird way. The spring behind it no longer pushes it out or pushes it in. So in order to do anything with it, we have to kind of manhandle it and kind of push it in, push it out. If we ever push it all the way in, we have to like kind of put our finger behind it and pull it out. Not the most refined thing, especially in a BMW, but hey, these cup holders are terrible. And if you even use them a little, even if you don't use them, they'll probably break, honestly. That's how bad they are. It is what it is. Like, it's kind of a point of pride for BMW for a long time to have terrible cup holders. You're supposed to be driving, not drinking, so something to keep in mind. All right, so the iDrive controller is the next one. So iDrive controller is the little knob we have here that controls the little iDrive, and this car came with the fanciest system with a bigger screen. I kind of wish it didn't because it ages the car horribly. The system is okay, you can connect your phone to it, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. The iDrive system itself, the controller tends to fail itself as well. So you know how you get left, up, down, right? Some controllers fail where you can't press enter, you can't press it down. And some controllers fail like mine, you can't press it left, you can't press it right. And eventually I'm gonna have to change this out. Because right now I'm doing all kinds of fancy things to try to get different menus and things like that. All I'm trying to do is connect my Bluetooth phone, and sometimes it's a big pain in the butt to get that done. So the iDrive controller in these, yeah, they can go bad. Again, unexpected, didn't like it. I wish it wasn't so. All right, finally, it was one of the things that is actually a technical service bulletin, but not every BMW dealership will actually do this to your car unless you ask them to, unless it fails. They don't always fix this, is what I'm trying to say. And that's the driver's Footwell module. Now, it sounds pretty innocuous, but unfortunately, the driver's Footwell module controls a lot of things. It controls the headlights, it controls the windows going up and down, it controls your gauge cluster turning on and off. I think it also controls the screen on your car turning on and off. It controls a bunch of different things, and when that goes, you're gonna have some issues ranging from not being able to use your windows, you can't use your headlights, or the headlights may just stay on forever. It really depends on how it fails, and it's a big pain in the butt. The part itself is not too crazy expensive. It's like $300. The labor itself is also not that bad. It's very uncomfortable to do it. I wish BMW did it. I asked them to do it back when I took the car in for some other technical service bulletins. They wouldn't do it. BMW dealerships can be a pain in the butt to deal with. It's part of ownership. It's part of owning the car. I think, just like a lot of Honda dealerships, they feel like their cars are just too good and you can't really ask them for anything. BMW dealerships are kind of the same. I have not found a very good BMW dealership. I did find a very good Honda dealership. If you're interested, it's a Honda of Hackettstown, but that's an aside. So I covered 5 of them, but I want to give a couple of honorable mentions to this list. It is a BMW after all, and again, these things are not the biggest deal, to me at least. The car still is an awesome car. I think it'll last forever. Mechanically, this thing is a beast. But the fan on these things, there has been a TSB, a technical service bulletin, to replace the fan module. Unfortunately, they don't replace the whole motor. The motor does go bad sometimes. You hear it clicking sometimes, you hear it go bad. Something to keep in mind. And the iDrive system itself sometimes can go wonky. And what I mean by that is you hook up your phone to it, it works fine, and all of a sudden it just stops working. That's just an issue with it. It's old technology. It's from the iDrive technology in this thing is from 2009. That's a long time ago. It's 11 years ago now. In technology terms, that's basically ancient history. So another thing I wanted to say was that the Bluetooth microphone in this thing sucks compared to the new ones. It's terrible. I called my wife the other day, tried to talk to her about a couple things on the phone. She was in the car, and I could barely hear her. I could barely make her out. Now, she is a small Asian girl, so she sometimes doesn't speak as loud as she needs to. But even still, I should be able to pick up her talking. And I called her in my Colorado ZR2, and I heard her loud and clear. So it goes to show you technology does march forward. Again, things to keep in mind. Now, I say these things just for you to know and just for you to kind of have in the back of your mind. This car is still an awesome car. I would never think that I would enjoy a car so much. I would think that by now I'd get tired of it and want to switch it out for something else. There's no way. Close to 400 horsepower, close to 600 foot-pounds of torque. This thing is amazing. I wouldn't switch it for the world. And I'm actually thinking about adding another X5 35D to the lineup. So let me know what you guys think about that. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, put it down below. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.